Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tucson. So today, I got a lot done. So my grandson got up around 3 this morning, and so we got him fed, did his thing, I got him all set up, and then I started cleaning the house, got all that done, all the laundry, the stuff that's last load to do. So I went and got some books yesterday, and I thought they're, quite interesting. And so I come home, I put them in bags, I put them outside, because I started to get, this little, feeling like a rash, and it's just from being on the shelf too long. So those got cleared up, and I'm sitting there waiting for the laundry to get done, so I thought, let's open the book, let's see what's going on. And sorry about the crookedness, I think it's a little bit of everything. And so, I opened the catechism book, and I opened it randomly and talking about priesthood, and I always wanted to be a preacher, like I've talked about. But in my church, in the Catholic Church, they don't allow women to be preachers. They can be deacon wives and do community service, which I do that on my own anyway. But I was like, well, this is weird. Like, why am I feeling this pressure in my head, right? So I put that down, and I opened up this book. This one here, I got it yesterday, and I opened it randomly, and it's called Get Over It. It's chapter 8, and talks about forgiveness, about people who hold on. They say they forgive, but they're holding on to it, right? And I started talking to Father about wanting to become a priest, but like I said, my religion doesn't work. So there's a local church here in town. It's an apostolic church, but it's kind of like Catholic church, but it's like offset. And they have a female priest who gives sermons. So one day we were there for breakfast, and they asked us to come back at noon, me and my daughter, for mass. And she was the one who was giving the mass, and I was like, yeah, no problem, So we go home, we chill for a little bit, and we come back to church, and it's in Spanish. The whole thing is in Spanish. But because, we go regularly, we know the process, and we kind of know what's going on. But when she spoke, we didn't know what she spoke about. So we waited for everyone to leave. She greets everyone, and they talk to her first, and they can leave. So we waited for everyone to leave. And the first question for me and my daughter was, what was your sermon about today? Because, we don't speak Spanish. My daughter, at the time, was younger, so she didn't have a lot of the language under her belt. She did have Argentina from Canada, and a little bit of another show she watches on TV at that time. So she didn't really kind of know what they were talking about. So what happened was, she said it was about accepting people other than yourselves into your community. How fitting is that? He puts us right smack in the middle. Only 2 white people in the whole church, other than her, because she was white like us, and they're all looking at us, right, as she's speaking. That's why we asked what it was about, and we just smile at them, how you doing, and because we didn't know. So I thought it was real fitting for the priest to put us there for an example. But nobody ever came up and said hi to us. They smiled at us, but they never said anything to us. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And I thought it was real interesting, too, to work at a place where they're all Hispanic. They were all very nice people until the rumor started. And then it was like, wow. So that's okay. But Father wanted me to let you guys know, too. So my daughter worked at this place. She worked when she was in her 20s. And there were Spanish speakers there. And there was a woman she gave a job to that was our neighbor. And she spread rumors about my daughter. She was jealous about her position at her job. And so the Spanish people would be speaking, and she understood every word they said, because what they didn't know is she has 4 different languages in Spanish. And she learned that from Canada, from age 2, all the way through school, middle school and high school. And she learned slang, and she learned Argentina, and there's one other language she learned, and then Spanish. So she's been, and she also is self-taught. One time we were at a bus stop, and asked the lady, what time does this bus come? She goes, no English. My daughter asked her in Spanish. She was like, oh my God, she speaks Spanish? Oh, she did that really well, blah, blah, blah. But I thought you didn't speak English. So really, we're not prejudiced in any way, shape, or form. We've been in a lot of different situations. We love everyone as we love ourselves. But what I find really interesting was when I opened this up, chapter 8, the name of the book. It's Heaven's Lessons. It's written by Steve, Sjogren. He went in to have a surgery, and he died on the table. And the Lord spoke with him. I thought of God. And then he came out. He had to learn forgiveness. A lot of people, were angry with him about some things. Like, I can't tell you that you have to read the book. But it would be a good book to read if you have unforgiveness. I wanted to make it real clear that God loves us unconditionally. He doesn't care about petty things. If you please go to him and he will help with anything you are going through. He will provide the resources you need. And they always come next to nothing. I know that insurance is expensive. From what I've been gathering from the information about what's been going on lately. I didn't even know my daughter was aware of those things. So it's kind of weird how we live in the same household, and it takes a really bad situation. It was horrible what happened. There's no excuse for killing. None. I've made that clear. I don't care how many videos I've made. There's no excuse. An eye for an eye is God's place. The Lord takes vengeance, no one else. If there is vengeance to be taken, he will deal with it. And that is absolutely important. Number one rule. Love your neighbor, you love thyself. I know when you're in pain, I get it. There'll be a video before this one that's going to come out. It talks about that. It talks about why some are healed and some aren't. And so, I don't understand it either sometimes. But it is what it is. So I'm working on some paintings. You're going to be seeing those videos too before this one, I think. But always remember, you're in situations for a reason. These are lessons to be learned and not to be repeated. So just pay attention to that, and God bless. Peace. Remember, God loves you.